Like, I'm going to call the police. I want to file a police report. I had to call a different police department. They weren't answering the phone. I was like, and then in that moment, I just felt like God was like, literally none of this matters. It's distracting you from doing the thing that I'm asking you to do. So someone stole my $300 sunglasses, and really all that told me, that the lesson that I learned from that was remove all the distractions. Remove all the distractions from everything that God has for you, from the plans that he has, the mission and the vision that he has for your life. And what's interesting is what happened was I was hosting this birthday gathering for my friend. Something happened in the morning, so we weren't on schedule, and so it was a surprise as well. So I just found myself kind of like rushing when I got there. I ended up, obviously I didn't know at the time, but now I know, I ended up not locking my car doors. And so at the end of it, it was so crazy because during the whole gathering, my daughter kept asking me to go to the car to get something. And I kept saying, no, no, no. And I felt like God was trying to save me at that time to go lock my door. And I didn't. And so, we came back. Everything was kind of like shuffled around a little bit. And I was like, oh, I didn't do this. That's weird. And so I realized that my sunglasses were stolen, taken out of there, and like my daughter's $10 bill that she had in one of the compartments. And then later on, I'll share what else was taken. But what's interesting about these sunglasses is, like, when you hear like $300 sunglasses, you might be like, what the what? But I felt like I was starting to get a little upset about it. Normally, I'm not upset about materialistic things. So I was more upset about I don't even know what the word is. Is it the values or the morals of this? Because it had been, these sunglasses were prescription sunglasses. And I actually don't like spending a lot of money on things. Like, I don't like buying high ticket things. Because I have like 4 kids. I have, I'm like kind of running around with them all the time. And so for me, I'm just like, I don't really want the responsibility of taking care of something like of that price, right? And so it took me 3 years. 3 years of waiting. I had prescription sunglasses before, and again, they were like $300. And I lost them. I just lost them. I think I had them for, a year or 2 years, and then I just lost them. So random. They just got lost. Okay. Misplaced. And so I was like, I don't really want to buy them again because I don't want to lose them. And so it took me 3 years to like finally be like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I really want some for when I'm driving. And I do a lot of driving with my kids. I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. I was finally going on a trip solo. I was like, I'm going to get these glasses. Before I sucked it up, I paid my $300 for my prescription sunglasses. I got to use them for like all of like, I don't know, 2 weeks. And again, they were stolen. And so for me, I was more upset of like, dang, like I waited all that time just for them to get stolen. Okay. And so for me, that's really what it was about. And so I was a little bit upset. I was like, I'm going to call the police. I want to file a police report. I had to call a different police department. They weren't answering the phone. I was like, and then in that moment, I just felt like God was like, literally none of this matters. It's distracting you from doing the thing that I'm asking you to do. Are you a woman in ministry, business, or influence who has a deep desire to be in alignment with God so that you can pour from that overflow of peace and joy and true freedom to your community, to your audience, and to the people that God has called you to impact? If yes, I invite you to join us inside of the Overflow Collective. This is a community of women who have a deep desire for deeper intimacy with God so that we can be on mission, stewarding everything that God has given us for His kingdom and in partnership with Him to usher in more heaven here on earth. We are women who want to stop striving so that we can start surrendering and truly experiencing everything that God has for us. If you are just tired of the hustling, the burnout, the misalignment, the overwhelm, the chaos, the anxiety and stress of being in ministry, being in business, being in positions of influence, then I invite you to join us in the Overflow Collective. You can click the show notes, find the description anywhere you're watching or listening to this episode, and I'll see you inside. So I literally just put it away, and I was like, you know what? And it's so funny because when I was calling the police, I was also telling myself, I was like 99% sure I know who it was, because where we were, there was literally only like 3 people there, maybe 4 people. Okay. I'm not going to go into the details, but I was like, I'm 99% sure I know who it was, and they come to this place all the time. I could just wait here one day until they come, and then I'll see my sunglasses and I'll know they're mine because they're prescription. They're not regular sunglasses. They're polarized and all this stuff. And then I was just like, God was just like, it's distracting you from what I'm asking you to do. And this was right around the time where he had asked me to launch the membership. And then he was like downloading a lot of things of like how he wanted this membership to be. And so anyway, I just felt like God was clearly saying, none of this matters. None of it. It doesn't matter how much it costs you. It does not matter right now. And later on, I find out that I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure my AirPods were also stolen, because I remember I had put them in a specific spot. And again, maybe they're inside my home somewhere, maybe. But again, I have not seen them since that day. So I'm like, man, my AirPods, my sunglasses, and my daughter's $10, you know? And every time something happens in threes, it's like God is on the move. And I felt like he was really saying, like, this is where we begin to remove all the distractions, where we begin to remove everything. And if you guys listen to my other podcast episode about, I think it's titled like, I Need to Be Honest with You Guys. I talk about, doing only the podcast in 2026. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not doing any social media. The only three things that I'm doing is my email list, which, I mean, that's not really a thing, I guess. And then 2, my membership, this community, the Overflow Collective, which I'm so excited about. I think maybe I'll do a podcast episode. Let me know if you guys want me to do a podcast episode. You guys can, I guess now since I'm not on social media, you guys can comment on the YouTube video that you guys want me to talk about the Overflow Collective if you guys want me to. And then 3 is going to be the podcast. That's it. Those are the 3 things that I'm focusing on in 2026. And I felt like that's what kind of God was sharing with me. It was like, we're removing all the distractions from the one thing that I'm asking you to do. And so I think that something that I have some notes here. Something that I wanted to share with you guys was just staying focused on what God has for you guys and having your blinders on to anything else that looks enticing and good. Because those are the things, if we do not manage our mind well, it can be easy to say, well, that thing looks really helpful. That thing looks really great. And it's so crazy because over the past 2 months where God has been saying to me, like, we're not doing any more social media. We're just not. So crazy because my brain has not been thinking about social media. My brain has now been thinking of like, well, we could try this and we could try this and we could try this. And God is just like, no, we are doing this one thing. And the second I came back into alignment with God, so much relief, so much freedom in there. So I'm just asking you guys to take a look at your life, the different areas of life, and say, okay, what are the distractions here? What are the clear distractions? And am I willing to say no to them? And then I wanted to read this story that I had wrote on my Instagram, one of my posts. I wanted to share this with you guys. I wanted to kind of read it here. But I was at church and I was sitting in the second row, and next to me were like 3 girls, and each one of them, they had their Bibles opened. But for the next 45 minutes of this sermon, each one of the girls, they would like, just like in rotation, each one would like pull out their phone, be looking on like social media or answering text messages or doing like website research, like one of those things. Like, so they were just, they had their Bibles open, but girl number 1 would have her phone. She would put it away. And then like the next girl would have her phone. And then she would put it away. And then the third girl would have her phone and then put it away. And all 3 of them just went back and forth through their phone and the Bible and their phone and the Bible, texting, showing each other messages, also, right, distracting each other. And I just felt like they were just being distracted from the Word of God. That's what I felt like God was just telling me. Like, I felt like this was all around the same time. It was just like, we are distracted from the most important thing that's right in front of our face right now, God. And it made me think about how most of us have a front row seat to experience more of God. But you're too busy and too distracted. I want to say that again. Most of you have a front row seat to experiencing more of God, but you are too distracted and too busy. And I want you to just take that for yourself. And the interesting thing was that the sermon was actually on 5 things. 1, Jesus lived. 2, Jesus died. 3, Jesus resurrected. 4, Jesus ascended. And 5, Jesus invites us to join in his kingdom life here and now. And so if you want to experience the kingdom life here and now, get into alignment with God. Remove the distractions. Ask God to show you and to highlight to you the things that are distracting you from experiencing kingdom life, heaven here on earth today. If you are a woman in business, ministry, or influence, and you love what you are doing, but you are exhausted, you are burned out, you're overwhelmed, just know that there's nothing wrong with you. There's just a misalignment in what God has called you to and what we are striving for. And so if that's you, I invite you inside of the Overflow Collective. This is a community space for you to get clarity, for you to come into realignment, for you to get encouragement and support as you continue on making the impact that God has called you to by stewarding all your resources well, not just your financial resources, but also your time, your energy, your efforts, your yeses, your nos, stewarding all of that well so that you can continue to be on bigger mission, the bigger mission that God has called you to. The Overflow Collective has coaching, community, and practical support so that you stop the hustle, you stop the striving, and you step into full surrender and experiencing all of the peace and joy and freedom that God has for you as you partner with him to usher in more heaven on earth wherever he sends you. You can learn more about the Overflow Collective by clicking the